Hello. My name is Dion Johnson, founder at Women Leader Global and strategic ally to women in senior leadership all around the UK and internationally. So this video is for you if you are a woman in senior leadership across sector, but particularly in public sector industries. And you know what? People often ask me, why do I work exclusively with women in senior leadership? And it's true. All of my products, my services, my events, all of them offer imminent or new or well-established senior leaders. And here's why. I once heard somebody say that the biggest room on the planet is the room for improvement. And I think that's really accurate, that no matter which industry you work in, whether you work in business and finance, or if you work in education or science and technology, or the media or the arts and leisure, or if you work in the religious sector, or if you work in family welfare or the government, wherever you work in the grand scheme of the marketplace, there's no doubt that there's been incredible advancements, but there's also no doubt that there's really poor outcomes, that poor outcomes are real and rife right now. So violence and poverty and sickness and injustice and inequalities and corruption are just a few real life rife situations that are really normal for us to be seeing, no matter which area or industry or domain we serve in as leaders. And so that's why I say that there's a massive need for improvement. In fact, I think the need for improvement and transformation and real change is urgent. And my experience is that although leadership at all levels, leaders from the top to the bottom of the organization is the way to go, is the ultimate way for change to happen effectively. The truth is that industrial culture still really does look to the C-suite and senior leadership teams to drive organizational and industrial change forward. And we're a really long way off, I think, from systems change being driven at all levels. And so I think it really matters who is at the top and who is influencing the people at the top. And that's why I work with CEOs, and that's why I work with directors and heads of departments and strategic leads. You are the designated leaders of the organization. You're hired to lead, you're positioned to influence. And so it's with that in mind that I'm asking you this question today on this video. And the question is, do you really want change? Do you and your organization really want change? Or have we just accepted things the way that they are? You know that last month, March, saw the International Social Work Day. I can't remember what day of the month it was last month, but it was International Social Work Day. And I went and hung out with some imminent graduates in social work, just because I really care about social work and health and social care. And so I went and hung out with their celebration, their Social Work Day celebration. And the keynote speaker was fantastic. But here's the thing, as I listened to her share what was happening on the coal face of social work in her area, I could feel my heart becoming heavier. I felt more despondent as I listened. Nothing much has changed at all. Well, actually, I lie. Things have changed, but not in terms of outcomes, but in terms of increasing demand for social work services and diminishing budgets to do that work. But other than that, the same people were having the same complaints and the same disease and the same outcomes. give or take a few degrees north, west, south and east, just tiny incremental little bits of change, but nothing much to speak of. And it really, really did get me. It really did. I really felt despondent that even though my health and social care days are long behind me, that I've been out of that game for 15 years now, the truth is that the situation for the people that are needing social work services isn't getting any better. It's like the status quo isn't changing. But here's the thing. Leadership is about changing the status quo, isn't it? Like, I was thinking today about the difference between management and leadership. And managers, their role is to keep things ticking over, keep the status quo happening, keep meeting those designated targets and keeping things moving in the same kind of way. But leadership's different, isn't it? Leadership is about envisioning and influencing new, better status quo, isn't it? So the question then, that's how the questions come up. It's like, the question is, how come if we have leadership established in social services or public services or industrial services, how come really key important things aren't getting better? In my experience as a director and a strategic ally to women in senior leadership, I realised that in many organisations and institutions, culture has it that leadership and management stay kind of similar in their role in terms of keeping things very much or quite the same. But I think that what distinguishes leaders from managers is the remit to ask really hard questions, like how are we doing with the hard things? How are we doing with those old problems that don't change year in, year out? Why is this persisting and worsening? And what are our aspirations around these stubborn, hard, challenging problems and issues? I think it's up to us as leaders, senior leaders, and especially women in senior leadership to be asking what needs to change and how do we get there? So listen, this is not a criticism. I'm not criticizing us. I'm talking about us. And here's what I'm thinking. I want to encourage you. You see, I believe that you have what it takes to be the initiator, the influencer of hard change. But first, you have to admit that you see these hard problems. They have to be talked about. They have to be raised. They have to be initiated. First, you have to be intentional about seeing these things, that we can't go on year in, year out, writing the same end of year report with just a few tweaks here and there and a bit of artistic license to butter it up a bit. I think we have to become intolerant of the same old, same old. I think it was Einstein that said that it's insanity to keep doing the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. And I think that in order to get new results, we have to ask hard questions. So I'm encouraging you. I'm making this video to encourage you. I want you to know that I believe that you have what it takes to be the initiator of these hard questions and the influencer of difficult change processes. I see you as powerful and positioned and the perfect initiator for this type of work. And so I just stopped by today to encourage you with that and to ask you to consider, what are those secret problematic challenges in your industry that keep rolling over into the next year and the next year and the next year? What are the biggest barriers and the biggest hindrances to those ongoing pernicious challenges and problems? What's stopping them? What are the hindrances that's stopping real change and real transformation in this area? I'm encouraging you to take some time to think about that. And if you don't know, that's great awareness too. Then ask, find out, because as leaders, we're not called to just manage the status quo. We are called to push it, to challenge it, to disrupt it, to make it change, to make it move forward, so that we create better outcomes and outputs and results and solutions for the people that ultimately we as public servants are serving, the public. See you later.